This brings us to the last genera that we're going to talk about for, the earliest and potential hominids, and that includes the Paranthropines. And just like the Australopithecines, we have kind of like one that's adapted to East Africa and another that's adapted to South Africa. Here we are again at our simplified hominid phylogeny, where we have the last common ancestor. Everything that postdates that split would be considered a hominid. And what we're looking at are features of bipedalism. Other features that we notice with hominids is that we have the loss of the honing facet, sharpening of the canine teeth. We talked about the earliest or potential hominids and the controversies, discussed the Australopithecines in the second part of this module. And the last one we're going to talk about are the Paranthropines. They kind of look like they walk on two limbs and they have a gorilla-like head. They have a sagittal crest, large chewing muscles. It looks like they were eating an exclusively vegetarian diet. They look like something that's has both ape and human-like features and lived much more recent in comparison to the Australopithecines. And para means next to, and anthropos, of course, means human. So these are ones that are kind of next to humans. So we think they're some type of like evolutionary offshoot that went extinct that focused only on vegetarianism. Something that's troubling about the genus Paranthropus in terms of the fossil assemblages is that we have a lot of material of the skulls and the crania and teeth, but we don't have a lot of the long bones postcrania. And so we're only going to really keep track of skulls because that's what's been found, so skulls and teeth. Here is the profile, species profile for Paranthropus robustus, right? Para means next to, anthropos means humans, and robust just means very thick and large. This was found by Robert Broom in the 1930s, and you can find them in the same areas that you can find Australopithecus africanus in these kind of cave systems, and they date to about 1.5 to 2 million years ago. Some of the anatomy of robustus is we're looking at brain size that is about the size of a gorilla, and it's larger than the Australopithecines on average. They have a flatter face, which is more like us. When you look at other features of robustus or Paranthropines in general, is they have a sagittal crest, right? The kind of an area where the muscles reach all the way to the top of the head, and we see this in modern gorillas and other robust apes like chimps. And so oftentimes you do see it mostly in males, or most prominently in males. The last Paranthropus species I want to talk about is Paranthropus boisei. And right, para means next to, anthropos means human. Boisei was the name of a major contributor of the expedition to the Olduvai Gorge, which these fossils were eventually found by Mary Louise Leakey in the 1950s and 60s. They named it first Zinjanthropus. And we'll talk about the Leakeys at the Olduvai Gorge and their contributions, right? We mentioned certainly when we start talking about paleontology in the previous module in section 2. You can find these creatures in Tanzania and Kenya, and they temporally date to the same range as the material in South Africa. The cranial anatomy of boisei is pretty much identical to what we find in South Africa with robustus, and so we're talking about a 500 cc brain, a very flat ornathic face, just like us. Just like robustus in South Africa, as well as modern gorillas and some chimpanzees, they have a sagittal crest indicating large chewing muscles, and they have very large back teeth or molar teeth known as megadont teeth. And so this indicates, right? And of course, they have a flat face like us and very small front teeth. So they have small front teeth and big back teeth like us. But their teeth are just so large, as well as this sagittal crest indicates that they were eating vegetarian foodstuffs and they were chewing for great lengths of time. Very powerful chewing muscles.